this time to understand how we'll be conducting this webinar and how we can use this opportunity to network and connect with other wonderful business owners who are also joining today's session. So first of all, warm welcome to all the participants who are joining in here today. And let me firstly introduce myself. So my name is Adnan. I'm Director SME Ecommerce Growth at GlobalLinker, and I have more than 1.5 decades of experience in the digital commerce space. And my functional focus areas, and you may have already imagined that, is the digital commerce platform Linker.store and other digital commerce related initiatives globally. In addition to that, I regularly work on guiding business owners on growing their business digitally, and especially micro and small businesses. And as part of that work, I've done more than 350 webinars and training sessions, and have got the opportunity to interact and guide about 12,000 businesses globally. So that was a little brief about myself. Now, as we are all here, and although we are connecting virtually, I would still encourage everyone that we should take this opportunity to network with one another. God knows, you may be able to find a buyer or supplier in this session. All right, so because I'm making the suggestion, that's where I think it becomes my responsibility as well to take the initiative. So let me take that initiative and let me share my details and start networking with you. So give me a second to just take out my details and add them to the chat. So just give me 1 second to do that. But I'm hoping that all of you can hear and see me as well. In case any member is having a difficulty in hearing me or is having any other difficulty, please do let us know. And especially we'll be doing a screen share. So that's where it is extremely important that you are able to not only hear us, but also see what we are sharing very properly. Now, if any one of you is joining through your smartphones, that's where I would recommend that you should not hold your smartphone like this, but on a landscape mode. Typically or generally, when you're joining through Zoom, it goes landscape and you're able to see it in a landscape mode. But in case it hasn't gone, that's where just hold it landscape. That's where you'll see a larger image and you'll be able to see the screen in a better way. Otherwise, you may miss out a lot of information that we are sharing here today. Joining us today is Vidushi from ONDC. She'll be guiding us about ONDC, how you can benefit, and also taking your questions about ONDC. So Vidushi, welcome to the session. So we have 2 more minutes, and in next 2 minutes, we'll get started with the session. Now, as we are waiting to get started, let me share with you how we'll be conducting this webinar. So as we get started, Vidushi will explain to you, she'll present to you or share with you information about ONDC and how it can benefit your business. Now, you will obviously have questions that you would want to ask. How can you ask your questions? So you'll see there's this option called Q&A in the down below. You can see Q&A written in capital. So you can use that option. Although you can also add your questions in the chat, but a lot of time there's a lot of message exchange happening in the chat. So that's where there is a possibility that your question might get missed out. So better add them in the Q&A section. All right, so we are just 1 more minute. We just have 1 more minute. And after Vidushi's session, I'll do the technical session where I will explain to you how you can use your Linker.store, your online store, and make your products visible on ONDC. So I'll do a walkthrough session for you. So I'll guide you step by step how you can do that. And then we'll break into a question answer round. All right, so it is 4:05 p.m. Let's get started with the session. Once again, warm welcome to all the participants who are joining us today on Zoom or who are watching the live stream on YouTube or on GlobalLinker. So warm welcome to all the participants, irrespective of which platform you are joining us today. So over to you, Vidushi, if you can share a brief introduction about yourself and then about ONDC with our audience here today.
Sure. Hello, everyone. A very good evening to all of you. I am Vidushi. I am a part of ONDC team. I am a domain leader at ONDC. I'm a part of network expansion team. And I lead electronics and appliances at ONDC. Been associated with ONDC for the past 10 months. And I thank Adnan and GlobalLinker for the opportunity that I could explain ONDC firsthand to all of you guys. So, all right, I would start. Adnan, could you please whether it's visible?
Yeah, now it has come through.
Okay. All right. So ONDC, as many of you would have heard about it, Open Network for Digital Commerce. It is an attempt to democratize digital commerce. It is an attempt which Government of India is undertaking by creating or by reimagining.
Vidushi, I think there's a little bandwidth constraint because I keep losing you in between. So I think it will be better if we turn off our cameras. That will save a little bit of bandwidth, and then screen share will work better.
Am I audible?
Yeah, Vidushi, you are audible.
My screen is not visible, right?
No, not yet.
Sorry.
It's coming through. Yeah, now it is visible.
Awesome. I'll keep my video off for the bandwidth issues. I hope you are able to hear me properly.
Yes, I can hear you properly, and I think audience is also able to hear properly. In case anyone is having an issue, you can raise your hand. But we are not seeing the full screen of the PPT.
That I'll do that.
Sure. Okay.
All right. So yeah, so ONDC is Government of India's initiative to democratize digital commerce. Now, these are big words. We'll start with what is the why of ONDC, what is the need of ONDC in first place, and then we'll move to how it reimagines digital commerce, and then how it can help all of you as sellers to become more discoverable across the ecosystem. So ONDC's goal is to step change e-commerce penetration. Now, when I say penetration, it means from the lens of number of people using e-commerce from a buyer side, the amount of transactions that are happening on e-commerce from from an overall retail GMV perspective, as well as number of stores which are currently enabled for e-commerce. So as a seller, you would realize that a significant part of our retail value chain is not digitally enabled. There are very few sellers who are actually enabled to sell their products online. And that is a very, very small part. That's a 0.1% of our overall ecosystem. When we take, for example, let's take Kirana as a sector. There are some 12 million Kirana stores in India, out of which only 15,000 are enabled to be able to sell their products online. This is a very small percentage. From a buyer perspective also, the amount of transactions that happen on e-commerce and the value that gets transacted through e-commerce is just 6 to 7% of our overall retail value that gets transacted in our country. When we compare this to big countries like China or even Indonesia for that matter, these numbers are upwards of 20%. When we look at where these transactions are happening, we realize that large part of it is actually coming from urban towns, metro towns, urban towns. And therefore, when we double click on it and actually see what's happening in our tier 3, tier 4 cities in rural areas, there is negligible penetration as far as e-commerce is concerned. So ONDC's goal is to increase this e-commerce penetration at a significant level. Now, from a seller perspective, there are a few challenges that you as sellers would have might have faced or might have seen others facing. That, like the whole ecosystem, how it's designed, there are a few constraints in the ecosystem itself. So first of all, as a seller, there are limited choices for you to be online. If you want to sort of go ahead and list yourself on any of the existing platforms, etc., you have to go in and sort of sign up with multiple different platforms in first place. You have to agree to their terms and conditions, where you don't have a lot of leverage in terms of what the platform is providing as a service. Right? If you decide to go, okay, I'll go beyond platform and let me start my own D2C website, or let me figure out a way to be discoverable outside of this ecosystem, it is a huge challenge to get discoverability. Customer acquisition is a big cost, and those of you who are running your own websites or know somebody who's running their own website would know that customer acquisition or discoverability of that website itself is a challenge. So the amount of discoverability that you get in platforms is significantly higher than the ones that you get on your D2C websites. And even let's say you are able to do that, the whole value chain, to figure out a way to sort of stitch up the whole value chain, is another big challenge. Which is, if you want to do your own D2C website or your own systems, you have to figure out logistics, you have to figure out warehouse management, etc. So it's not just one thing. There are multiple barriers in which you have to sort of overcome to eventually be discoverable as a seller. Now, how does ONDC tries to solve this problem is by unbundling and interoperability. Now, I'll just very broadly explain what these principles mean. We'll not go into a lot of detail as to what are how does ONDC function step by step. I'll take you through the user journey of how does it look for the user. So unbundling basically means that there are multiple steps that happen in an e-commerce journey. Unbundling is the idea to break up those steps and let separate entities do those steps. For example, in a typical platform, in a typical e-commerce function, there are activities which are happening with respect to buyer. So there is buyer acquisition, there is customer retention, there is UI UX building, there is cart building, etc. All of these are buyer centric activities which any of the websites or any of the platforms do. Then the second side is seller centric activities, which is onboarding seller, ensuring there's enough assortment available for the buyer to sort of see, warehouse management, inventory management, digitization, etc. So all of these are seller side activities. And then there are logistics activities, which is taking something from point A to point B. Currently, in an e-commerce scenario, all of these activities are being undertaken by a single entity, whoever decides to become an e-commerce operator. In a reimagined future, with unbundling, there could be multiple entities who are doing just part of it. So there could be entities who are just handling buyer side activities, which is they're just bringing traffic onto their application, they're taking care of the user journeys, customer retention, etc. Then there are entities who are only taking up seller side activities, which is onboarding sellers, digitizing sellers, maintaining their inventory, etc., trainings, etc. And then there are entities who are only doing logistics. So this would mean unbundling. Instead of one entity doing all the things, there are different entities doing different things. And then second principle is interoperability, which is they are interoperable within each other, which means in common language that they're able to talk to each other. So any buyer, any entity that is doing buyer-centric activities can talk to anybody in the ecosystem who's doing seller-centric activities, and can talk to anybody in the ecosystem who's doing logistics entities. So there is no need to tie all of these things together and have a pre-aligned way of doing things. It happens on the go because there's a common language which is developed through which these entities can talk to each other. So that is the idea of ONDC, that we have multiple buyer side applications or buyer side network participants rather, who are responsible for buyer centric activities. Then there are multiple seller side participants who are responsible for seller centric activities, which is seller onboarding, training, inventory management, digitization, etc. And then there are entities who are taking care of logistics, and these people can talk to anybody. So if you are a seller and you come onto the network through any of the seller side entity, a seller network participant or a seller app, you are discoverable across all the buyer applications, because now there is a common language which is connecting all the buyer applications to that specific seller application. So now you don't need to go ahead and sort of register yourself on multiple platforms. So let's look at how a typical user journey would operate in ONDC world. So there is one buyer application. Let's say there are multiple buyer applications live already. Let's take an example of Paytm. So Paytm is one of the buyer applications which is live. A user comes to Paytm. They search for, let's say, atta. They want to buy atta. They search for atta. The buyer application, which is Paytm in this case, will share the search request to the gateway that there is somebody who's wanting to buy atta. The consumers want to buy atta. Whoever has this category and whoever has atta related listings, please respond back with your catalogs. So this gateway would multicast it to multiple sellers and multiple seller applications, and they would sort of return with their catalog items which pertain to that keyword. Then the user looks at the various things that are available. Let's say there are two entities. One is Big Basket, which is fulfilled by Modern Kirana Store, which is giving atta with home delivery at 150 rupees. And there is another one called Gupta Kirana Store, which is offering atta at 50 rupees, but they don't have delivery. So Gupta Kirana Store says that, okay, I want to also offer delivery. So whichever seller application that they are attached with, they will send a search request to all the logistic service providers that I want to service atta from point A to point B. Let me know what are your quotes. Let's say they get quotes from, they get responses from Dunzo and LoadShare. Just giving examples. With two different quotes, let's say Dunzo delivers it at 50 rupees, LoadShare delivers it at 70 rupees. Pure example in this case. They select, okay, fine, I am sort of gonna go ahead with Dunzo, and they share it as a combined offering from Gupta Kirana Store. 50 plus 50 with delivery, atta will be delivered at the location. The buyer sees two options, they choose one, they make the payment on the buyer application, in this case, let's say Paytm, and sort of go ahead with the transaction. Right. Now, very quickly, I'll take you through what is in there for sellers. So there are, for different participants, there are multiple benefits that are possible. What is there for sellers is sellers, if you come in with any of these seller application, you will be discoverable across entire buyer universe. So you don't need to go in and list yourself in multiple seller applications as it happens in today's e-commerce ecosystem. And therefore you maintain one time a single registration. Once you register, because you're discoverable, you don't need to sort of go out and register with multiple entities. It is a low-cost access to complete value chain, because you don't have to stitch in logistics. You don't have to figure out how will I bring in traffic, etc. Because there are multiple seller applications available, there's autonomy, or there are choices, multiple choices that you get on rules and terms and conditions. There is increased profitability because not everybody is trying to do everything, which gives a little bit of benefit on the cost that they are incurring, because people are doing only one thing which they sort of excel at, and there's economies of scale that kicks in. There's increased profitability in the whole value chain, because you as seller would be doing the transactions, and you would be getting the data of all the transactions. There are various analytics that you can sort of run and sort of make your product better. If you join in as a seller, you would have a network wide reputation. So tomorrow, let's say you gather your reputation in terms of ratings, etc. If you decide to sort of move to a different seller application, you would be able to do it without losing all of your ratings, etc. that you would have gathered. And because it is not a central thing, it is a democratic way of doing e-commerce. There are different entities doing different things, and nobody has a complete visibility of what is happening end to end on the network. There's no disintermediation risk that comes in for the sellers. So yes, I think I have finished on time. Adnan, are there any questions? We can take that.
Sure. Thanks, Vidushi, for sharing wonderful insights about ONDC. I can imagine the audience has been able to understand about ONDC network in a better way, because I personally, when I interact with businesses, and I do that a lot of businesses are not very clear. There are different interpretations, or there are different imaginations that people have. And one of the common one that I recall, and that's where I'll request Vidushi if you can share insight, but this is something where I feel a lot of people confuse ONDC with GEM, because both are government entities. So it will be great if you can share with the audience what's the difference between GEM and ONDC. I know that, but it will be great if you can share that with the audience, because I can imagine many people in the audience may have that question.
Got it. So actually, they are fairly different from the concept per se. So ONDC, if you can see my slide, ONDC is actually, it's not an application, it's not a platform, it is a network. So when I say network, it's basically an infrastructure which is being provided, so different entities can talk to each other. So what ONDC is doing is developing a set of protocols which becomes common language between different entities. So there is no platform, there's no application where you sort of need to list, or where people sort of come together, etc. It is more of a development of a common language which people can use to interact each other and facilitate the transaction. So that's as basic as it gets. When you list yourself, you don't list yourself on ONDC. You list yourself, or you sort of join the network by joining any of the seller network participant who has done the tech integration to understand that language and respond in that language. So there is no central intermediary. It's not really a single model as compared to, for example, GEM or any other platform for that matter. There could be multiple permutations and combinations on one buyer app talking to another seller app, talking to another logistics service provider. So yeah, so I hope that is this would hopefully clarify what ONDC is. If you could see my screen, there is retail buyer application, there's retail seller application, and there's logistics seller application. And what you see in between is basically ONDC protocols. These are the open protocols that ONDC is developing, where anybody can talk to anybody in any permutation and combination, which in itself forms a network. So ONDC, when we are saying ONDC, we are referring to the network that it is creating.
Sure. I can see few questions in the Q&A, so I'll just read them out to you.
Sure.
So one question, the first one is from Shashank Jain. He wants to understand how to link e-store with ONDC. That is something that I'll be explaining to you immediately after this session. The second question is from Siraj, and his question is, if a product is damaged by the logistic team during the delivery process, who will be responsible for the damage?
Okay, so what was the gentleman's name? Shashank?
Siraj.
Siraj, okay. So Siraj, with respect to anything that happens unusual in a transaction, there are processes that are defined which would address the issue. So in this case, for example, if it's a damaged product, typically in case of a damaged product, a consumer would raise an issue that what I've got is a damaged product, and then there are ways to sort of track what has happened in the value chain. There are processes defined as to in which case what will happen, who is going to respond to the consumer issue. There are SLAs defined. If there is a consumer issue which is raised, the applications, the buyer application and the seller applications need to close that out in certain SLAs. So there are processes defined for everything that would go different from how a typical transaction would take place.
Thanks for clarifying that. The next question, the user hasn't added their name, but the question is, when will the initiative be launched throughout India?
Okay, so technically it is still throughout India. So for all the products that are pan-India delivery, you can actually, you could be sitting anywhere and you could possibly go out on more than one buyer applications who have currently made their application live for all India, and actually search for the products that are discoverable or that are serviceable in your locality. From a seller perspective, we have sellers from multiple cities. We have sellers from 300 plus cities. So I'm sure you will get some of the other seller who belongs to your city, and multiple more who are delivering pan India, who would be servicing your location as well. So actually you can test out buyer applications. Many of them have all India presence as of now, and you will be able to buy more things. As far as beta live is concerned, we are beta live in Bangalore and we are beta live in Meerut, which means that in terms of seller density, in terms of number of choices that you get are significant in these cities, and these choices are increasing very rapidly in other metro cities and tier 1 cities as well. Having said that, from wherever you would open, I'm sure you would find multiple sellers who would be delivering at your location. So choices are still available from anywhere.
Absolutely. So it is not like you're just buying it from your nearby or neighborhood store. The stores, wherever they are located, as long as they are doing pan-India delivery, or as long as they're delivering to your location, you'll be able to buy from them. And I think about 30,000 sellers are already part of the ONDC network.
Yeah.
Right. We have one more question. What is the process and how can we control product damages and customer complaints? So this question is by Mukesh, and Mukesh will take this up as part of the technical session that I'll be doing shortly. The next question is about the fee structure on ONDC.
All right. So in terms of commissions, there are two commissions which are at play. So there is a buyer finder fee, which a buyer app charges for every transaction. So there is no listing fees as such. There is a transaction per transaction fees that is being charged from a buyer application, which the buyer application communicates upfront before the starting of any transaction, that if this transaction goes through, this is the fee that they're going to be charging. You are free to accept or reject it. It's not a necessity to sort of pay that fees. If you decide that it's too high for you, you can sort of decide to not engage in that transaction. So that's one part. The second part is commercials between you and the seller application. Now, this is outside of ONDC's purview. So different seller apps would be able to sort of guide you better in case of that commission structure.
Sure. And I'll be sharing more details about the same in my technical session. So you'll get more clarity on the same. Siraj has again asked questions about the packaging guidelines, etc. So Siraj, I'll be sharing the same SOPs and guidelines as part of my technical session. So I'll take you through that. So any other question related to ONDC that audience would ask, would want to get clarity from Vidushi? Next question is from Mr. Nand Kumar, and he wants to ask if services are, if ONDC is there in Hyderabad and Mumbai, so do we need to list separately in each of the city?
If your if let us say you have two locations through which you sell, let's say Hyderabad and Mumbai, and if the serviceability is limited, let's say Hyderabad one only delivers in Hyderabad, and the Mumbai one only delivers in, let's say, Mumbai Pune, then yes, you will have to list them separately. But if, let us say, both of them have similar SKUs, like same SKUs, and are delivering pan India, then you may decide to just bring in one or just combine both of them and sort of list them as a pan India servicing. It depends on the specifics of how these stores operate for you.
Sure. Next question is from Dilip, and he wants to understand how to list on ONDC. That's what I'll be sharing next. So this
just one correction: you don't list on ONDC. You list with
on seller
application. ONDC is a protocol that is enabling communication between these entities.
Sure. So this is where we can now start the technical session. So thank you, Vidushi, for taking our time and joining us here today.
It is my pleasure, and I'm very sorry for the initial technical glitches that happened. I hope I was able to clarify a few bits.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think it was a very insightful session, and audience must have been able to understand about the ONDC network in a better way.
Super,
right.
Super.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Vidushi. So now I'll start sharing my screen and we'll get started. In the chat, I can see there's one comment wherein one of the participants, I'll not name the person, but one of the participants has asked to do the session in English and Hindi. I would have loved to do that. I would have loved to do the session in Hindi, and you can go to our YouTube channel and you can find I do a lot of work or session in Hindi as well. But understand we have members joining in from different part of the country, and everyone is not very familiar with Hindi. So that's where we, for a consistency sake and to share information with everyone, we do the sessions in English. So let's quickly get started. I can imagine you are eager to understand how to showcase your products on ONDC. So let's get started. I'll start sharing my screen and then we'll quickly get started. Just give me 1 second. I will start the session with giving you guidelines or SOPs for listing on ONDC, and then we'll understand the process. All right. So hope that should be fine with everyone. So let's get started. In next few seconds, you'll start seeing my screen, and then we'll get started with the presentation. It is just one slide presentation, so don't worry on that. I'm not going to take a lot of time showing you the presentation. So let's go to that slide. Mandatory requirements to be on ONDC. Now I'm sharing this with you because I don't want you to do mistakes, and that's where you're showcasing products, or you're showcasing products wrongly, and then you are getting delisted from ONDC network. So just to avoid all that inconvenience to you, to everyone in the network, so let's have a better understanding of the mandatory requirements, or something which are essential for showcasing your products or services on ONDC, not services products, right? So best practices or mandatory requirements. The first one, I'll just read them out there in the presentation. I'll just read them out. Ensure to have genuine pricing, relevant product description, and appropriate images added to the products that you enable on ONDC. Now, for example, you have a product and you have not added the image, then what will happen? It will not show on ONDC, or if you haven't added the proper description, or your pricing is incorrect, and then a customer places an order. Very recently, we had one example wherein a seller hasn't updated the actual price, and the product went live on ONDC, and order was received, and they were not able to fulfill that order, and which is not a right practice. If you cancel more than 3 orders, that will get you delisted. So that's where it is extremely important that while you are making your products or enabling your products, just ensure that everything is correct. Just take a few extra minutes to ensure that all the information, including price, title, images, description, everything is added properly. It does not require to be like the best in the world, but everything should be properly added. The second one is a product with low stock, less than 5 units, should not be enabled on ONDC, with the simple reason that it may go out of stock, and you may not be able to fulfill, right? So please avoid adding products with low stock. The third mandatory requirement or SOP is to ensure to double check the bank details that you're adding, because you'll be receiving payment for the orders that are getting placed on ONDC in that bank. So there should not be any typo when you're adding those bank details. This has also happened actually with one of the sellers. They had made a typo in the IFSC code, and their payment could not be fulfilled because of that. All ONDC orders, this is where I'm reading out the point number 4 for you. All ONDC orders should be dispatched or shipped within 24 hours from the time of receipt of order. This is a very important point, because there is a SLA, or there is a delivery TAT or turnaround time that is followed on ONDC network. So it is not like, hey, we received the orders and then you'll be delivering it after 14 days. No, that is not acceptable as part of ONDC network. It aspires to deliver the same kind of experience that a customer will get when they are buying from any other marketplace or brand, right? So the same kind of experience should be there. If the customer experience is not that good or is not that great, because this is like customer's expectation, if it is not met. If it is slightly inferior, it is still okay. But if it is significantly lower, then they'll not use the platform again, and the entire effort and initiative will fall on the face. So that's where extremely important that you dispatch the order within 24 hours. And the fifth point is ensure to track and update order status as soon as the order is delivered to the customer. Now, if you're using integrated logistic, that's where it will happen automatically. But if you're using any other external logistic, or you have delivered the order through your own staff, in that case, you have to ensure that you are updating the order status as soon as the item gets delivered, right? Now, at the bottom, you can see there is a note, caution note, that all effort should be made to avoid canceling ONDC orders. And if more than 3 orders are cancelled, you'll get delisted from ONDC network. So these are SOPs. I'll add the link of this presentation in the recording of this webinar, which will be emailed to you. So you'll just have a copy. We are also adding it to your seller panel so that you have these 5 rules readily available with you, so that you can just ensure that your processes are in compliance with these rules or standard operating procedures. All right, so let's move on and let's now understand how to join ONDC via GlobalLinker. This is where I'll turn off the presentation, and for a moment I'll turn off the screen share as well, because I'll be switching my screen and I will be taking you through the process. But before I do that, let me just show you little bit of ONDC network. Because so far we have just seen presentation, right? Let's see something in real. So let me hide this so that it does not block our view. So we are on the screen, you're seeing a store of one of our sellers. They are mobile and electronic appliances or product sellers. Now this is their online store, and for the benefit of time, I've already done this activity. So I've gone to their mobile accessory category and I've opened this product. Now, if I look for this product on ONDC network, you can see there's my store, which is one of the buyer app on ONDC. And this where I can find this product, I can do an add to cart and I can buy that product. So what is happening, a seller who is on GlobalLinker, who has an online store on GlobalLinker, they are able to display their product on ONDC buyer application. That is what is happening. That is the interoperability, one of the principles which Vidushi was explaining. That's where you are part of one solution, but you are able to showcase your products on other solution. That is the power or the magic of ONDC. That is where through the network, that product is now getting showcased on another platform. There's one example. I have also opened another example. There are so many of them. We'll just go through a few of them. So this is another platform, one of the other seller that is into lifestyle products, and I've opened one of their product. And if we again search for the same product on ONDC network, we are able to find that. So that's how it is powering. Now, my store is one of the example. There are many ONDC stores where these products are visible and customers are placing order. So this is how ONDC is helping you get more visibility and more orders on your online store. Without wasting or without spending any more time, let's move on and let's try to understand about how to showcase your product in DC. So we will be using this account, which is a demonstration account that I use to conduct my training classes and workshops. So we'll be using this account, but I'll be demonstrating the actual live process, how you have to do that. So you have to log into your account, and I hope everyone has a GlobalLinker account. In case you don't have a GlobalLinker account, you can just go to globallinker.com, sign up and create your account. It will take you like 5 minutes to do that. And then you can create your online store, add products to it. And then once your online store is ready, that's where you can start this activity. If your online store is already ready, then you have to just click on online store, which is here, and which will open the seller panel. I've already done that. This is the seller panel, which is open in front of us. So I'll repeat the steps once again for everyone's reference. The step number 1 is to log into your GlobalLinker account and then click on online store. That is step number 2, which will open the seller panel or control panel of your online store. Hope the process is clear to everyone so far. Now, once you have done this, then you have to, in the left navigation, now you might be wondering, what is a left navigation? So all these buttons that you're seeing here, all these options that you're seeing on the left side of the screen, that is called left navigation. So in the left navigation, you have to click on store settings, which you are seeing here. Let me just turn off the highlighter. This is where you can see store settings. So you have to click on it, and then you will see store details. You have to click on that. So the store details page is open in front of us. So after opening the seller panel, what did we do? In the left navigation, we clicked on store settings. And after that, we clicked on store details, which opened this store details entire interface. Now here you'll see there is a horizontal navigation. This is a vertical one. This is a horizontal navigation. Now you will be tempted to click on it. You'll be excited to click on enable ONDC, which you can see towards the end of the screen. You can see enable ONDC. You don't have to click on that. You have to click somewhere else. What is that place? You have to click on this tab, which is called address. You have to come here and you have to ensure that you have added this Google location. Now, most stores, as I know, they have already added, because this is part of their website creation journey. So I'm imagining most of you has already done that. But just a word of caution, you go there and then you do everything and then it is not getting enabled, and you'll feel there's something wrong with the system, and then you'll reach out to the help desk and then we'll point out that, hey, you haven't added the Google location. That's why it is causing an issue. So all you have to do is to come here, ensure that address is added properly in case you haven't added address. So you have to add address properly and you have to add this Google location. That's all you have to do. Review and update the address. That's step number 1 that you have to do here. Step number 2 is update if required or add Google locations. You have to just ensure that the address is added properly and the Google location is added properly. It is powered by Google, so you will be able to find your location. So you have to do that. And once you are done, you have to click on save. That will complete this step, right? So after opening the store details, go to address tab, ensure that address is added properly and the Google location is added properly. And after that, click on save. Once you are done, now you can click on enable ONDC. This is the screen which will open up. I've already added details for the benefit of time, but I'll show you what all details you have to add. So to start with, you have to add your GST numbers. You have to add your GST number here. And after that, you have to add your bank detail here. Your bank account has to be added. So your IFSC code, bank name, branch address, account number, you have to repeat that. And then you have to specify whether it is a current account, saving account, and the name in which your account is created. So you have to add all that information. Now, you might be wondering, why are we asking you these bank details? What do we want to do with that? So we'll be using this bank details to make the payment to you. How does this cycle work? So let's understand this with an example. So we are seeing this product, which is from a seller called Zalani Collections, which is this store I showed to you earlier. Now, if as a customer, I go here, do an add to cart and place an order, in that case, I will be making the payment to whom? To my store, which is this buyer application. As a customer, I'll pay to my store. Now, my store will make the payment to whom? GlobalLinker, which is the seller platform or seller network participant, which is GlobalLinker. So my store, when you will deliver the item and when the return period will be over, after that, my store will make the payment to GlobalLinker, and GlobalLinker has to pay whom? You as a seller, or Zalani as the example that I was showing to you, right? So for this payment circle to get completed from customer to buyer app and from buyer app to customer, we need bank's detail, right? So we'll not be able to make the payment to you. So from the customer to buyer app, from buyer app to seller app, and from seller app to the seller, which is you. So that's why we need the bank detail. All right. After that, you have to add the beneficiary address. Now, there can be a scenario that you have added a store address and your beneficiary address is different. So the address which is added in your bank account as a beneficiary address, that may be different. So you have to just ensure that you're adding the right address. If it is same as the store address, you can just click here. This is where you'll see the options. So you don't have to add all this manually. But if it is different, then you can add that. And then you have to accept terms of use. Now, many users in the audience were asking about the fee and the payment process and etc. etc. That's where I would request everyone to review this document, which is terms of use. It is available on your seller panel, so you don't have to wait for me to share it with you. It is available on your seller panel. You can go to your online store and then go to enable ONDC, and the bottom you'll see terms of use. You can click there and it will always remain there. So it is not like you enabled and it will get hidden, it will disappear. That will not happen. It is always visible. So you can review that. That's where you'll see all the terms which are there. So with respect to fees, now, as Vidushi explained, that there are two types of fees which is there on the ONDC network. One is the buyer application fees, which these guys will be charging. And then there is a seller application fee or seller network participation fee, which is providing all this infrastructure, right? So firstly, let's understand about the fees which buyer application will be charging. Now, the beauty of ONDC network is that the fees which buyer application is charging is added back to the price as a convenience fee. Obviously, it cannot be added to the price. Otherwise, it will exceed the MRP and that will be illegal to do. So it is added as a separate line item. For example, the products price is, and we have the product open in front of us. So you can see that. So it is $299 here. And if we do an add to cart, and let's go to the cart. I'll have to log in and then I will be able to show that. So if time permitted, I'll show you. But what I was trying to explain to you was that the convenience fee or the commission which the buyer application charges is added back as a convenience fee. So there's like nothing going out of your pocket. So you're not losing anything there. If you're selling on a marketplace or on any other platform, they charge some commission on that. 5%, 10%, 15%, varying from category to category. But here you're not paying anything. Whatever they are paying, it is added as a convenience fee to the order which the customer is creating, and then customer is paying that. So you are not paying anything. With respect to the seller application fee or seller network participant fee, which is the GlobalLinker's fee, so we are also not charging anything. So in all, your product is getting sold on ONDC network and you are getting all this absolutely free of cost. So that is also documented. I'm not just making it up. So it is all there in the terms of use. You can definitely review all this and have better understanding about the terms, right? You should review it. I'll strongly recommend before enabling ONDC onto your online store. Once you are done, you have to click on save and enable. Now, there is one common mistake that I've seen that people do. What is that common mistake? They do everything and then they don't enable this button. So obviously you have to click on save and enable, but you have to also enable this one right here. You can see you have to also enable this button. Don't forget to enable this button. Otherwise, what will happen? You'll not be able to do the next steps. And then again, you'll come to us on the help desk with a complaint that your system is not working. And then we'll point it out that, hey, you haven't enabled it. So small mistake, but will waste a lot of time of yours. So just to avoid that, just enable it from here, or just ensure that you have enabled this and then you click on save and enable, right? So more simpler thing to do. So so far I'm guessing nothing very technical or complicated that you're doing here. Your GST number, your bank account, in case beneficiary address is different, you can add it here. If it is same as the store address, you can select that. Review the terms of use. I strongly recommend that, and then enable this one. And then you click on save and enable. That should enable ONDC onto your online store. Right, so let's do that. It will show you a congratulations message that the ONDC is enabled on your store, but the activity or the work is not yet completed. So let me show you what are the next steps that you have to do. So very quickly, now we have to go to the product section. How do we access the product section? So in the left navigation, we have to click on catalog, which is here. So we'll click on catalog, and after that we'll see products. So you click on it, it will expand, and then you'll have to click on products, which will open the product section. Now here, you'll have to manually update one product. Now you might be wondering, or many of you who are here in the audience and who have like a very sizable catalog or who have a number of products in their catalog, they might be getting stressed that he is asking us to manually update, and we have like hundreds of products. How will we do that? So don't worry, you have to just do the manual activity in one product. And let me show you how it is done. So we'll take this product as an example. This is a smartwatch. So what we have to do, we have to click on edit, which will open the screen. This is where you have to scroll down all the way to the bottom. So once you have clicked on edit, let me do that once again in case anyone in the audience was not able to follow. So we are taking this product as an example, and we have to update only one product. Don't get worried that you have a very large catalog and you'll not be able to update all of them manually. We don't want you to update everything manually. What we have to do is we have to just update one product. So let me show you. So we'll click on edit, which will open this screen. On the screen, we have to scroll down, and that's where you'll see add ONDC related details. You have to click on that, which will reveal category and subcategory. So it will be in this stage. So it will be blank. So you have to select a category and subcategory, which is very simple. You click here, it will tell you grocery, home and decor, pharma, electronics. There are a few more categories which are under development. When I say under development, their fields, etc., they are getting implemented, and as soon as they are ready, they will start appearing here. Now, for example, this is a smartwatch, so it is a product of electronics category. So we'll select electronics. So once we have selected electronics, in the drop down, we can click and then we can select a relevant subcategory. So smartwatch is a subcategory. We can select that, and then we have to click on save button, which is here alongside, which will update these category fields. So we have told the system that, hey, this product is for these categories which are there on ONDC, right? So this is where we're telling the system that this product is to be showcased in this category, in the smartwatch, electronics and smartwatch category. You may have categorized it on your store and as per your requirement, but on ONDC, where should it get displayed? That's what you are trying to define here, or trying to update the system on, right? So this is one step that we have to do. Now we'll go to price and variants tab, which is here. So we'll click on that, and which will open this interface. Here we have to click on this option, which looks like a pencil. It is an edit icon. We'll click on it, and which will open this overlay. Now on this overlay, we will again scroll down, and towards the bottom, you'll see this field which is called add ONDC related details. And this is where you have to add the manufacturer or packer name. This is where the manufacturer and packer of this brand. Packer means if it is an imported product who has packed it in India, and manufacturer means the maker of the product. So it is not your address that you have to add here. This is the brand's address that you have to add here, their address and their name. So for example, this watch was made by, let's say, MI. So in that case, the manufacturer will be MI. The manufacturer address will be the MI's factory address, month and year. So this is where the date is not required, in which month and which year it was manufactured. So you have to put that, and net quantity. So net quantity for most products will be no. If it is like a bundle wherein you are there are two products, like pack of two, etc., in that case it will be a greater number. So we have to just input all these informations here. Once we are done adding all these informations, on the overlay itself, there's a save button. Let me show you that. So you have to click that. So after adding all these fields, which are 4 fields that you have to update, you have to click on save. And that is where our one product is updated. So now what we have done, we have updated one product. We have told the system that this product belongs to these categories on ONDC, and we have added the mandatory information related to ONDC. Apologies, there was one more field that I missed out. So sincere apologies for that. Let me just show you that mandatory field, and it is not just ONDC mandatory field, it is required by the e-commerce policy of India, and that is the country of origin. So if you have already updated the country of origin, well and good, you don't have to do that. But if you haven't updated, then please update the country of origin. You can do that from here, country of origin. You can either select the country from the drop down, or you can start typing the country name, and then you can click on save. So that is one field I missed updating you. So that's how we have to update one product. Once you have updated one product, the next step, and this is where I'm telling for the people who have, and I'm assuming everyone will have more than one product, obviously. So how to update the other product other than this one product that we have already updated. For that, firstly, you should download this file, which is download products, which I've already downloaded. I'll just quickly show you. This is the file which gets downloaded. Let me just zoom in a little bit so that it is bigger on your screen. This is the file which gets downloaded. Now here, you'll see there are two categories towards the extreme right side of the file. Towards the extreme right side and end of the file, that's where you'll see we have these two additional fields. Country of origin is obviously there. In case you haven't updated, you can update it in bulk. This is the field which is there. And then you have ONDC category and ONDC parent category. Now, what is important to understand here? First is subcategory, and then you have parent category. So don't get confused. I've seen member do this mistake. They add the parent category here and then the subcategory. No, it is inverse. So you have first subcategory and then parent category. So here you can see electronics and smartwatch is visible. Similarly, you can update it in the other categories from where you can get the category structure. You can see that in the product dropdown, or I will share a file with you. Using that, you'll be able to do that. So just update these three columns here in this file. What are these three columns? One is country of origin. Let me highlight them in yellow. So the three columns are country of origin, ONDC parent category, which is here, and then ONDC subcategory. So electronics is the parent and smartwatch is the subcategory. Once you are done updating this file, you have to save this file, go back to the seller panel, click on update products and upload this file. Wait for the upload to get completed. After that, refresh this page, just refresh, click on F5 or click on the refresh button and the page will get refreshed like this. Refresh this page. And after that, you have to click on download CSV, which you are seeing here. Click on download CSV, which will download the variant update file. This is the variant update file. I've also kept it open or downloaded it already for the benefit of time. So this is the file which will get downloaded. Now, again, extreme right side end, that's where you'll see the columns for ONDC mandatory information, right? So if you compare, or if I just for a moment take you back to that screen which I was showing you earlier. So the information that we had added in the price and variant overlay. Here you can see these fields are here in this file, right? So what we had added in the basic details tab was part of the other file. In this file, we have to update these four fields, which is manufacturer packer name, the brand name, the address, brand's address, month and year of manufacturer, and net quantity. You have to update these four columns. Once again, after updating these columns, save the file, go back to the product section on your seller panel, and then click on bulk edit CSV. Don't click on upload product. That's where you'll get an error. You have to click on bulk edit CSV, upload this file, and your products will start appearing on ONDC network. It will take about 24 to 48 hours for your product to get populated and start appearing on the ONDC network. After that, they'll start appearing, and then you'll start receiving orders from the customers through ONDC buyer app. All right. So this is where I'll turn off the screen share and we'll break into the question answer round. I can see there are already 8 questions in the chat. The first question that I can see is, can we list our products on ONDC? I think I've just explained to you. You can list your products. You have to create an online store on GlobalLinker. And after that, following the steps that I've showed to you, you can list your products on ONDC. I think that answer was based on my understanding. But in case there is any other angle that I am not aware of, you can elaborate that. You can either add it in the chat or in the Q&A. The next question is from one of the participants. They have decided not to reveal their name, but they want to understand how many partners are there on ONDC. And so you can go to ONDC's website. That is a very information-rich website. You can go there. It doesn't make sense that me telling you that who all are there. You can check it yourself. You just go to ONDC's website and you'll see all the buyer apps which are there, all the seller apps which are there, and you can satisfy your doubt. Sania, I'm not sure about the GST issue. If you can drop me an email, I will be able to take it up with the buyer app. Next question is also from Sania. She wants to understand which email are received when an order is received because Snapdeal doesn't send email notifications. So firstly, you're joining GlobalLinker network. It is not Snapdeal. So the interface and experiences are different. So whenever an order is placed on your store, whether it is placed through ONDC or it is placed directly onto your website, that's where you'll get an email notification, and it will also get added to your seller panel where you can go and you can process your order, and your online store comes pre-integrated with online payment and logistic facilities as well, integrated logistic through Varmaship and players like ShipRocket, which you can use to deliver products to your customers. Tanya, I think this is not the platform where you have raised the question about the GST. You can drop me an email. I have shared my details in the chat. There's no one from Store Hippo here who can guide you. So next question is from Shashank. He wants to understand for how long we can use GlobalLinker free of cost. For now, it is free. You can definitely use that. I can't guarantee that it will remain free, but for now it is available free and you can use that. Next question is about manufacturer packer, and this is related to products that are manufactured in factories. Now, if you're referring to grocery products, that's where the fields are slightly different. For grocery products, it will also have a factory address. But for other products, you can either add manufacturer or packer address. Either of the two can be added, but something has to be added there. Next question I can see from Dhavani Patel. Is it an appropriate platform for instrumentation and process control industry? If it is a B2C product at the moment, yes, because ONDC at the moment is B2C, or it is only supporting. There is a B2B which is getting ready parallelly. So once that gets ready, that's where you can also start showcasing B2B products, but at the moment it is B2C. What I showed to you is B2C. Next question is from Neeraj. If I upload update my products here, can I see on Paytm Mall? Yes, you will be able to see them. At the moment, GlobalLinker is not live on Paytm. We are in the testing, go live testing phase. Hopefully in a week's time, we'll be live there. But certainly on other buyer applications like My Store, Meesho, Craftwilla, Spice Smart Store. Then there's an application called Pin Code by PhonePe there also. So you'll be able to see your products on a number of applications. Next question is by Akshay, and he wants to understand about the shipping. So the online store that you're setting up, linker.store, it comes pre-integrated with logistics. So you have hyperlocal delivery providers like BFast and Unzo, which are pre-integrated. And you also have logistic operators like ShipRocket and BamaShip, which are pre-integrated onto the platform. You can use their services to deliver orders which are received through ONDC. Next question is, can we move from one seller application to another seller application? Yes, you can do that, but it is not like a seamless thing that you have to just change the entity. It is a structure that you're using here. So, for example, you created a store today on GlobalLinker, and tomorrow you want to start participating in ONDC through another seller application. In that case, you'll have to recreate everything there. But technically, you can do that. Next question is from Mr. Mohan. Is it okay to add kitchen appliances? Absolutely. You should do that as soon as possible. Electronics is a very growing and promising category on ONDC. Dhavani Patel has again asked by when the B2B model will get updated. So B2B, which has started on ONDC, is where retailers are able to buy in bulk from distributors or brand. So that is what has started, but that's not the entire or totality of B2B. B2B is very diverse, where as a business owner, I can buy supplies from other businesses in bulk at discounted rates, etc. Right? So it is very diverse. Taking your example, you're into instrumentation business, right? So that's where any business can buy products which are offered by you on B2B. So that's is getting built and evolved at the same time. So I think in about 3 to 4 weeks time, you can see it coming through and getting ready and going live. Next question by Akshay. We already have a Razorpay account. Do we need to apply account? No, absolutely not. You can use your existing account. Next question is by Dilip, and he wants to understand, if we are not from IT background and cannot create our online store ourselves, can GlobalLinker help us? Yes, absolutely, we can do that. There is a paid assisted store setup service that we provide. You can avail that service, and a team of professionals will create the online store for you. So you can avail of that service. In case you're interested, I've already added my contact details in the chat. So you can reach out to me. I'll get you connected with the relevant person from that team. All right. Any other question before we conclude this session for today? We have overshot our time by 15 minutes, but still, if there are any questions, please do let me know. I'll again share my contact details in the chat for everyone's reference. I can see there's one question from Aditya in the chat. He wants to understand about logistics and transactions. So the online store that we are creating, it comes pre-integrated with logistics. When I say pre-integrated, you don't have to do the technical integration. You have to just sign up and activate services. For example, you want to use Barmership. So you have to just sign up, and once your account gets activated, you can start using it. Now, suppose there's an order which you have received from ONDC. In that case, you don't have to look out for a courier operator to deliver that order. You can just use the Barmership services. So you have to just click on a button and then initiate courier pickup, and the courier person will come and pick up that order and deliver it to the customer. So that's where it becomes seamless and pre-integrated. Now, when that order gets delivered, the system will automatically update the order status. So that's where you also don't have to manually put in the effort to update the order status. So all that will happen seamlessly on the platform. I hope I've answered the question. But in case we are interested to understand more, we do training workshops daily at 5:30 p.m. And that's where we explain or we provide information about these aspects related to online store setup and management. I would encourage that you should attend these sessions. Where can you find the information about these webinars or these training workshops which are happening? So I'll just show you where that information is. Just give me a quick second. So we'll go back to the online store that I was showing to you. Let me just hide it. So on your online store seller panel, this is where you'll see the information about all the training workshops or webinars related to e-commerce which are happening, or digital commerce which are happening on the network, on the platform. So you can participate on any one of them. All right. So I'll encourage, if you want to understand finer details about online store setup as well as management, you should participate in these training workshops. All right. So this is where we'll conclude the session for today. Thank you everyone for taking out time and participating in this session. Have a wonderful evening ahead. Bye.